Right now on the National Weather Desk, a winter blast shuts down interstates in the plains and is now moving east. Dense fog blankets New England, making for some tricky airport landings.
Looking out the window, you could barely see anything at all.
Where's the snow? A delayed winter takes a toll on everyone who counts on the snow this time of year.
It is important, again, for all of northern Michigan to have some snow.
Toxic algae is causing big problems for pets in one part of the country.
But I feel like it's indicative of all the weird weather that we're having because of climate change.
Plus, important information about cold weather and your car's tires.
Go, 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 go!
And we'll look back at the top weather moments of 2023.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Winter weather advisories remain in effect across portions of the plains today as a winter storm moves across the country. More than 160 miles of Interstate 80 in Nebraska were closed this morning as blizzard conditions made travel on many roads very treacherous. The Nebraska DOT said the snow and the wind mean the driving conditions are not safe. It's a similar scene over in Colorado where up to a foot of snow fell. Jen Sullivan looks at the big picture.
A powerful winter storm is sweeping across the north-central U.S., bringing blizzard conditions and freezing rain.
The winds are going to pick up. The snow will reduce visibilities for several hours.
Multiple states are in the path of this storm. Parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, Kansas, Colorado, and Wyoming are under blizzard warnings. Some areas could get up to a foot of snow between Monday and Tuesday. In Nebraska, the wicked weather causing multiple semis to jackknife on Interstate 80 Monday. The conditions were so bad that state patrols shut down roughly 70 miles of the interstate and responded to nearly 150 weather-related incidents. In South Dakota, heavy snow and winds causing poor visibility and slippery roads. I-90 was closed in both directions for more than 200 miles. And in North Dakota, the Department of Transportation had to close portions of I-94, warning drivers to stay off the roads.
It's not recommended to travel throughout that part of the country.
As the system shifts east, there's a threat for potential flooding across portions of the mid-Atlantic.
That threat of flooding actually began yesterday in the Carolinas. This park in Hendersonville, North Carolina, was covered in water after heavy rain led to the local creek to overflow its banks. Police closed a road due to high water, but many drivers ignored the barricades and drove through anyway. There were also problems in South Carolina. Mike Owens has more.
After heavy rains from the nor'easter we recently had, the water on the Waccamaw River continues to rise until it overflows into this small community.
The yards flood, but at times, we have the whole road here flooding, and people actually have to boat in and out to get to the houses.
The floodwaters on Waccamaw Circle can make life a challenge, sometimes getting almost as high as the ceiling of their carports, and it's something they'll have to deal with for weeks to come.
It takes weeks for it to come in as far as building up to higher and higher levels like this, but then it'll take at least a month or so to come back down, generally. It all depends on how much is coming down from North Carolina, from the Lake Waccamaw.
This is the fifth flooding in 3 years. One resident who didn't want to go on camera tells me he thinks dredging the river would help, but the real problem is development in the area.
All the development's taking up some of the swamplands and lower areas where they're filling them in, building houses, is causing the river not to have places to go. So it doesn't take as much to cause it to flood out of the banks now.
Many residents have adjusted their way of life. Some have built causeways connecting homes. Others have brought in dirt to raise up their properties. But for Barbara Dorr, it's the people in this community who make dealing with the flooding all worth it.
Everybody looks out for everybody around here. Love it.
Neither snow nor flooding were the story in the Northeast. It was the fog. Dense fog blanketed much of southern New England. This is what it looked like driving through Rhode Island. And check out this time lapse. Hidden underneath that thick layer of fog is Boston. It covered Beantown for hours on Tuesday, causing many flight delays and diversions at Logan Airport. The fog finally lifted by lunchtime, but for travelers, the damage was already done. John Perrick spoke with air passengers in Rhode Island who described a scary experience landing in the fog.
Flights making a foggy finish. Pilots and their passengers having a hard time seeing where they were landing.
A little scary, but it was okay.
When we came down, you literally couldn't see the ground until the plane got right above it.
TF Green Airport this morning engulfed in a blanket of fog. visibility low, complicating post-Christmas travel.
When we landed looking out the window, you could barely see anything at all.
Austin was coming back from Colorado Springs. He was lucky his flight landed.
I was surprised that we were able to land.
Our own Allegra Zamore experienced a different fate. Her flight took off on time from Newark, but fog in Warwick forced her pilot to make a U-turn back to New Jersey.
I've dealt with a lot of weather and a lot of delays, but I've never gotten to my destination and then had to turn around and come back.
And back at TF Green, Nora Taylor, whose flight landed amidst the morning fog, says she's thankful for her pilot.
Everything was fine with the flight. It really, really was. It just, the entire time, it was so cloudy that it looked like it was snow.
And most of the Northeast still has no snow on the ground, a rarity for this time of the year. And that includes western New York, one of the snowiest places in the country usually. Bristol Mountain normally gets an average of 15 snowfall days a year, but as Carly Miner explains, this year the snow is coming from machines, not the sky.
Bristol Mountain has seen plenty of warm winter days since opening in 1964. The ski resort has been making its own snow for years now.
We are open, this week for skiing and snowboarding, and it's awesome right now. We're open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and so day operations and night operations.
With minimal snowfall so far this year, Bristol Mountain's Vice President, Stephen Fuller, says they are hoping Mother Nature can do something cooler or colder this season.
One of our biggest things right now that we're waiting on is some of our beginner and never ever terrain to open. So like right now we're not teaching never ever, so if you've never skied or never snowboarded before, we're not quite ready for you yet. We will be once we get some cold temperatures and get some more trails open.
The season at Bristol Mountain runs until the first week in April, which means there's plenty of time for temps to drop, snow to fall or be made, and skiers and snowboarders to take to Bristol Mountain for their enjoyment.
Winter in northern Michigan usually means a day is spent ice fishing on a frozen lake or riding a snowmobile through the wilderness. Both activities are on hold, waiting for winter to kick in. As Audrey Boucher explains, snowmobile sales are taking a big hit.
During this time of year, snowmobile trails are typically busy, much like the businesses that sell them. However, this year, with the lack of snow on the ground, no one can snowmobile, which also means less people are coming in to purchase them directly. At Extreme Power Sports in Gaylord, staff says the week after Christmas, leading to New Year's, is supposed to be their busiest week. But the most foot traffic they have had so far is people picking up pre-orders.
Last Christmas Eve when we got hammered by that huge snowstorm up here, people were hot to trot. They wanted the new sled. They wanted everything now. They wanted it right away. Now, because we don't have that initial snowstorm or anything yet, the foot traffic's definitely decreased a little bit.
Markovich says this week they have sold around 10 snowmobiles.
When there's snow on the ground, people will want to come up north to, recreate, outside in the snow. And, this time of year with no snow, we have more people, using their off-road equipment, side-by-sides and ATVs as well.
Trent says for now, until there's snow on the ground, the off-roading vehicles are replacing their snowmobile sales.
Check out this image from the Hubble Space Telescope. It captured the latest sighting of the so-called spokes of Saturn that continue to baffle scientists. Observations have revealed that the number and appearance of the spokes can vary depending on Saturn's seasonal cycle. Similar to Earth, the planet has an axis with a tilt that causes seasonal changes, though NASA says each season on Saturn lasts about 7 years. NASA says this is a composite photo taken by Hubble when Saturn was about 850 million miles away. And researchers are looking into the potential impacts of using a nuclear explosion to defend the planet from asteroids. Scientists have long been against the idea, warning it could just create a group of smaller asteroids that would head towards Earth. But researchers with Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory are running simulations on a technique called nuclear ablation. It would cause just enough of an explosion to send the asteroid off course. They say more research is still needed. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll take a look back at the major weather events of 2023. Plus tips to protect your car from cold winter weather.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn with a look at the Northeast. We have rain on the way for much of the Northeast throughout the daytime today, and see a steady rain off towards areas like Pennsylvania, New York, and then moving into the southern New England region, even northern New England through the afternoon and evening. A steady possible rain down towards southern New England by the overnight hours. Then rain showers continue into the day on Thursday. High temperatures today topping out in the 40s for most.
Hey everyone, I'm Wyatt Everhart. Let's get a check of that forecast. Through this Wednesday, we're going to see rain on and off, some soaking rain even toward the midday as we get continued low pressure sliding in out of the south and continued moisture into the area. So early fall giving way to just rain and cloudy conditions. We finally cleared things out into the day on Thursday. Temperature-wise, continuing to stay pretty moderate in the 50s for high temperatures, but it comes with a lot of wet weather.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs. We're looking at 52 degrees for today up in Nashville, 60 in Atlanta, Raleigh 65, Charleston 70, Tampa 70 degrees, Pensacola 61, and West Palm 76 degrees. It looks like we're seeing that rain along the I-95 corridor heading up into Virginia and Raleigh. That's going to continue to move north. We've got a little wedge of clouds across the I-95 corridor, but it looks like we'll continue to see partly cloudy skies for some areas, but some clearing as high pressure moves in over Memphis as we get in through Wednesday, Thursday.
The National Weather Desk.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We begin in San Antonio, Texas, with a look at the beautiful downtown skyline. There will be plenty of sunshine in San Antonio today, with temperatures reaching just under 70 degrees. Next, we head over to Florence, South Carolina, where things start out pretty foggy this morning. Skies will remain cloudy throughout the day with a chance of rain, and the high today is going to be 69 degrees. Heading north to Lake George, New York, where it's another foggy morning. Periods of rain are expected today with a high of near 45 degrees. And how about this for a view? That's a look at St. Lucia in the Caribbean. High temperatures there today are expected to be in the mid-80s, and things could turn cloudy later on this afternoon. Well, last month, officials in California detected hundreds of cases of bird flu in migratory birds passing through the state. Now they're warning residents to be aware and keep themselves and their pets safe. Maxwell Tedford has more.
Ducks, geese, and then also water birds that hang out in areas with waterfowl, white pelicans, sometimes gulls, and then, of course, the avian predators and scavengers that feed on those species.
Krista Rogers is an environmental scientist with the state that specializes in avian investigations. Rogers says this is the same bird flu that has been bouncing around the continental United States since 2021, killing near record numbers of poultry over the last 2 years. And migratory birds aren't exempt.
What we're testing is probably just a small fraction of the wild birds that are actually succumbing to this virus. And that's just kind of a problem. We try to do our best to capture that information, but it's very difficult.
Bill Mattis, president of California's Poultry Federation, says it's hit the state's poultry population hard this year.
We're probably up to 1 million chickens this year on meat chickens, and maybe a couple of million egg layers. We've lost a lot of ducks as well in a couple of areas of California.
Mattis says they've had to lock down on biosecurity across the state, barring entry to all facilities for non-staff or deliveries, and requiring all persons who enter to totally desanitize. Practices he recommends at-home farmers follow as well.
Anything need to be kept away from the chickens, at least during this really bad period of when ducks are flying, because they drop their excrements all over, and all you have to do is step on them, take them into your backyard, and those chickens, one chicken gets the bird flu, and then you only have 5 or 6, they'll be dead within a few days.
Officials in Washington state are warning people to keep their pets out of local waterways after an algae outbreak started in some of the most popular dog hotspots. And as Ryan Sims reports, the weather is also a major factor.
A slick, slippery situation could threaten your best friends as the year ends, and Green Lake is ground zero for it.
I used to swim in this lake, but I stopped doing that a few years ago because I thought it was pretty gross.
Health workers say it is no different for your dogs either. Right now, these algae-aware signs placed throughout Green Lake, as well as at Lake Washington and Lake Wilderness.
And it's hard to walk your dog and then they're pulling. They want to go in the water, so it can be a struggle, but I think it does make sense to avoid it.
There's a lot of waterfowl and things like that. I think that make it kind of not the cleanest lake.
As a result, the message from health workers is much clearer than this water. Don't allow your pets to enter the lake where algae is visible. Otherwise, your dog could get very, very sick.
I certainly would heed the warnings, but use a little bit of my own impression as well.
Dagmar Reese's 5 puppies, as you see, still took a dip in the water, yet she has a plan of action anyway.
We just make sure and rinse the dogs off afterwards. I think they've done okay.
All of this a full several months before the time algae normally forms here.
But I feel like it's indicative of all the weird weather that we're having because of climate change and all these other factors.
In terms of human health, all of New Year's polar plunges are still on, at least for now.
Well, 2023 was a record year for weather. Meteorologist Emily Gracie looks back at some of the top weather headlines of the year.
All right, this is debris. That's big. All right, where do we go? Go, 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 go! Strongest wind I've seen yet. Oh no! Oh!
have fallen over the last few hours, and as you can see, the roads are flooded.
And if you want to see more weather content from this past year, be sure to check us out on social media, where we have great video of all the top weather stories. We are on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. Time now for a short break, but first, let's take in views of Washington State from above.
Very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest as you're going out the door today. We do have some intermittent snow showers mixed with some rain depending on where you are and the temperatures. So it's going to be a little damp for a lot of the Midwest for the day today. No major snow system. However, tomorrow these snow showers continue to slowly drift their way towards the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley and continuing to weaken and become a little bit lighter for the coming days with more sunshine out across the plains.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region, and not a bad day at all. We'll have partly to mostly sunny skies across the area. Seasonal temperatures 50s and 60s, may even touch 70 down across South Texas. We'll have some low to mid 40s across Oklahoma and Arkansas. So seasonally cool, seasonally cold overnight, 20s and 30s, below freezing across the Panhandle into Oklahoma and Arkansas. Upper 30s to low 40s for the rest of us.
Well, hi there, everybody. It is Wednesday morning. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, it's still very cold in the Intermountain region. Just 26 today in Jackson Hole, right near Yellowstone Park. 59 out of Vegas. We're back into the low 60s out of LA, San Diego, and Phoenix, too. Next weather maker, this big stretched out disturbance leaning from San Francisco all the way to Seattle. Rain at times today along the I-5 corridor. And that's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
The cold weather of winter can pose several risks to your car. Meteorologist Lindsay Storrs posted on Instagram about one way colder temperatures can impact your vehicle.
Tell me if this has ever happened to you. You get in your car on the first cold morning and you see this little symbol. After a little bit of investigation, you find out that your tire pressure is low. But you know your tire pressure was fine yesterday, so what changed while you were sleeping overnight? The temperature. That's what changed. So why does temperature impact tire pressure? Take a look. Air molecules behave differently depending on the temperature. When it's warm, air molecules move quickly and take up more space, so the pressure inside your tire is higher. When it's cold, air molecules move slower and don't take up as much space, so your tire pressure drops. So when you see that little light pop up, it's important to put more air in your tires. If you drive around on tires where the pressure's too low, it can cause tire stress and uneven wear, so you'll have to replace your tires more often.
Check the check engine light and check out our podcast, Off the Radar. You can get it anywhere you get your podcasts. Thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Make it a great Wednesday. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.